Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wyndburgh. This is session 29. Like, I'm gonna keep being impressed by the number that we get to every single session. It's not even funny. Um, Welcome back, everyone. I'm very glad to have you all here today. We have a full party. Well, no, Kira's not here. That's okay. I thought we had a full party for a second. I forgot. But welcome. How's everybody doing today?
Good, good. It might be a little sunburned though, unfortunately, but I have red hair, so it comes easy.
All right, so last we left off, we ended the siege of the high ice, and this is the final result with all of the enemy bodies turned into 3D corpses. Makes it easier. Oh, actually, these guys are not. These were just the ones that I was copying and pasting around, but makes it easier to see just how much destruction has been caused to everything. I'm very, very proud of you guys. You suffered, I want to say, 2 casualties in your side. You had this person who got killed on the battlements and thrown over, and this unfortunate soul who got pierced by a ballista bolt.
That was pure unluck. Like, that was just bad.
And you did this to Steve. So
Hmm.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, but Steve was a dirty fucking coalition soldier, so he got what he got.
Is Micah okay?
Micah is okay. He took 10 points of damage, but he's still alive.
I'm so proud of it.
That's my baby boy.
That's my baby girl.
I have had Micah for 5 minutes, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Straight up.
All right, so just to give you all an idea, I had to increase the size of the battlefield because otherwise y'all would have had to fight in something like this, and it would have been really weird. As the sounds of the battle die out around you, you see that the snow from the sky has stopped. You hear nothing but the crackling of the flames around you, and some of the groans of the wounded. The battlefield around you is littered with corpses. And the chill that was in the air is no longer there. There's a warmth that surrounds the area. As the militiamen gather the remaining coalition soldiers and take him into the town to the barracks, Slayer stands up to his feet, Kirith, from within the crater that he created, and you hear him cough low underneath his breath, and he takes a look around, and he bends over and grabs a little bit of the dirt from the crater that he just created, and just lets it fall off of his hand as it flows, as it blows out into the air by the wind coming from the south. With the victory here in the high ice, you all have a very important decision to make. What will happen to the coalition soldiers?
He surrendered, so we should spare them.
I don't know about that. I see
If we
kindness
kill
in your
those
heart.
who...
Well, hold on. Kirith, go for it.
I see kindness in your heart. I truly do. But I almost want to torture them, maybe just a little bit, for some information, if you were interested in that. We don't have to torture all of them, but just some of them.
What then would separate you from bandits?
By any chance is the sergeant still alive? Did he get ground pounded so hard into dust?
Saltbrook, as you look around you, you notice, you're actually close to where the body of the sergeant is, from that position. You see him over by a bush, and as you approach, you notice that this man's spine has been turned into a spring, essentially. No one would have survived something like this.
I think it's still best to loot him and see if I can find those orders he had and any other intelligence on him.
Okay. Roll an investigation for me.
My favorite part of video games is looting bodies.
And you haven't been doing that recently.
I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
part of-
will roll a 21 for investigation.
Okay. Rowan, what were you gonna say?
Oh, all I said was that's my favorite part of life is just looting bodies.
Suspicious.
FBI, open up.
In Minecraft, as we all say, for legal reasons,
Yeah.
in Minecraft. Solbrook, as you approach the body of the sergeant and you begin to look through his clothing, you notice he's still alive. And
You lied to me.
as you're going through his things, he grabs your wrists, and through rattled breaths, he says, with his eyes are completely glazed over, essentially, and he just says, "What in the hell is that thing?"
I'm just gonna put my hand over his face, and then I shall cast Vampiric Touch to consume his life force.
Holy shit, dude.
Oh my god.
Okay. Is that a spell or a cantrip?
It's a spell.
Jesus Christ.
Shadow Wizard Money
You
Gang.
can hear the
We
smile.
love casting spells.
No.
It goes on to the gauntlet.
Legalize nuclear
Solid
bombs.
monarch.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Oh my
Oh
god,
my
dude.
God.
Okay, yeah, roll for that damage.
Christ almighty.
Jesus Christ.
14 damage.
Oh my god. Okay.
And I will heal 7 damage from that.
Jesus fucking. Solbrook, you put
Yeah.
your hand onto his face, you said?
Yep.
As you touch his face, you almost see a flash freeze of his skin around the surface of your fingers that are touching his face, and his eyes roll back into his head, and he lets out one last whisper, just almost as if his whisper is turning into dust, just a
I'm also gonna take the money that I gave him earlier as a nice little quote unquote gift because he's not keeping that.
What are you
on him.
taking his shoes too? Jesus Christ, man.
Hey, I'm paying myself with my own money at this point.
Oh my god. Yeah. How much money did you give him? 350?
Yeah, something. Like
Yeah,
that. 350
take
sounds
350.
about right.
Take the 350 back.
Take the 350 back.
Oh my god.
What else does he have on him?
As you look through his his clothing and his equipment, you find that his armor is essentially completely destroyed.
Oh god, it's rented out of all hell. He got thrown like 40 feet into the air.
Mm-hmm. So let me just huh. Just making sure. Okay. You find on him a potion called Bottled Breath. You see it. It's written on the label on it. This bottle contains a breath of elemental air. When you inhale it, you either exhale it or hold it. If you exhale the breath, you gain the effect of the Gust of Wind spell. If you hold the breath, you don't need to breathe for 1 hour, though you can end this benefit early, for example, to speak. Ending it early doesn't give you the benefit of exhaling the breath.
Okay.
So make sure to Yeah, make sure to write that down. You also find a crumpled bit of paper, and in that paper is written their set of orders. And their orders are very specifically to pacify the region and to bring it under coalition control. It speaks of a possible offensive from coalition territory.
I forgot about something last session. I have adamantine armor. I'm not supposed to get critted.
That is true, and
Jeez.
you got hit.
Oh, well.
You got crit a couple times.
I got
Wait,
critted.
is that what adamantine armor
Yeah.
does?
Yeah.
That's what adamantine does. It keeps
Yeah.
you-
Oh,
Okay,
fuck.
whatever. It's way too late to worry about that now, but yeah, continue
It's
on.
fine. It's fine. You also read in the orders something about, it's vague, but it's still understandable, that there is a mounting offensive from coalition forces preparing on the north, northeastern border of the Sylvanian demilitarized zone. Roughly around Citadel Adbar, and that some of the coalition forces have already begun moving, and that holding the high ice will be important for, quote, artillery.
Artillery.
Yes.
Interesting.
You also see that in the orders, they delineate that it is important to capture the high ice with as little civilian casualties as possible, but should it become an issue, to give no quarter.
So they did straight up have orders just to massacre everybody should it just become too difficult.
From what you can see,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I mean, this was the right thing to do regardless, so there's no qualms about it here. I will share this information with Ithilden because she's right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll also say it loud enough so that Celestine can hear, because that might be more relevant to her than any one of us.
Oh, well, excuse me.
We're not going to be here forever.
As you speak this, Saltbrook, Celestine, you turn over to look at Celestine, and you see her kneeling next to the body of a coalition soldier. Her halberd is stuck down onto the snow, and her left hand is on her chest. Her right hand is down onto this corpse's face, and she's underneath her mask. You see very slight movements. She's speaking something, but it's too quiet for you to hear.
Are we whispering a prayer?
She stands up and she looks over at you, and she walks over to the next body. And these are soldiers she has killed. And she kneels and she repeats the same action. And she continues to do so for the others. She doesn't seem too interested in what you are saying.
Probably a post-battle prayer for everyone who's died, so I can see that, so I won't interrupt further. I'll just hand off the note to somebody later on.
I would like to slide off my BB.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I would like to say that I would like to go and loot bodies. That's without saying at this point. Also, I want to just put a
Posing.
hand on Valiant's shoulder and just say eat.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, he has to eat.
That's brutal. At least take the ones that are alive and aren't. You don't want people to be eaten alive. Good God.
Damn.
I don't want any of the people to be eaten alive.
There's
Okay.
still some survivors.
Fuck, not the dead bodies, you idiots.
You didn't specify. Rod will do it.
Ethel, as you say eat, Saltbrook, you and Ethel, both of you, you are surprised by the speed and ferocity at which Thalion just moves fast forward and begins to gorge himself on the sergeant's body. He essentially pushes you out of the way, Saltbrook, and he begins to eat ravenously. Ethel, there is more aggression here than you're used to.
Can I like feel if something's like wrong?
You feel like your connection to him is a bit strained right now. You don't know why, but it's there.
I will give Ethel a control your dog kind of look.
I'll say at this point, Gimnir is just collecting the survivors.
The survivors being the coalition.
Yeah, the coalition.
Okay. As you do this, the militia soldiers that were exiting out towards the end of the battle begin to help you do that. And they split themselves off, trying to begin repairs and trying to find if there are any survivors, anyone that ran away. And a soldier approaches you, Gimnir, and he speaks to you and he says, "I saw what you did there. We won't forget it any time soon. The High Ice is thankful for your service, Mr. Gimnir."
Well, you people needed help, and I was here to help, so...
Sure you
it's just
were,
the right thing to
mister.
do.
Now, if you'd allow me a customary question, what's your last name, so I don't have to call you Mr. Gimnir?
Haven't picked one yet. My clan does not pick their names until we do a great deed. I'm still considering.
Well, if I may be so bold, Mr. Gimnir, Siegebreaker does seem very nice of a name. And he begins to walk over to the corpses and begins to do his duty.
Fearless Raug shivers in the distance.
Those fucking bastards, how they do it? How dare they? The name Siegebreaker does stay with you for a moment, Gimnir. And then just like the wind, it floats by.
Not as you wind. Ooh.
Kirith, in front of you, you see Slayer taking a look around at the bodies, and he runs past you. And before he passes completely, he, looks at you again and he gives you a thumbs up, and he keeps running. He joins the others as they begin to, make repairs and trying to put out the fires near the walls. Ethel, give me an investigation check.
Always game. 15.
A 15. Actually, give me a D100.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I have yet. 81.
81. Interesting. You find among the corpses 2 items. You find a tankard within the one of the backpacks of one of the soldiers, and underneath it you see that there is a like a carved mark, and it says sober. This tankard has a stern face sculpted into one of the sides. You can drink ale, wine, or any other non-magical alcoholic beverage poured into it without becoming inebriated. The tankard has no effect on magical liquids or harmful substances such as poison. You now own the tankard of sobriety.
This is going straight to Gimnir.
And you, as you look around on the other bodies, you find a, this tiny object that looks like a feather. This is a single-use item. It's known as Qual's Feather Token, Anchor. You can use an action to touch the token to a boat or ship. For the next 24 hours, the vessel cannot be moved by any means. Touching the token to the vessel again ends the effect. When the effect ends,
Foreshadowing.
the token disappears.
Interesting.
And
Is Stallion still eating the fuck out of that guy?
oh, he's still going ham.
Nom, 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 nom.
Gimnir, are you also checking the bodies? And Kirith, are you as well?
Gimnir is not.
Okay.
I would like to do something, per se specific with the heads.
Oh,
I would like to decapitate all the dead bodies, and I would like to go a little bit further out of the village, but like I say 5 to 10 mile radius.
okay.
And I would like to put up a warning that says, "Do not fuck with this village."
Shit. Okay, yeah.
Essential.
Delightfully
I
devilish
wanted
of
to
you.
say- I think I wanted to say, I need help with the English translation of the writing though. Something like, if you dare to enter this premises, you have been warned. Something like that.
Death awaits ye who engages
Turn
with this
back, ye
village.
who enter here, or like whatever the hell Dante says.
Trespassers will be shot.
Trespassers
Shot
will
on
be
sight.
prosecuted.
Beware
I mean,
of dogs,
prostituted.
Stallion.
Yes, exactly like that.
It's just a crayon drawing of Thalion.
Beware of dog.
Beware of them.
Who volunteers to go with Kirith to perform this task?
I want to loot.
Okay.
I could draw, I could write it, but it would probably not be good English. I could ask Slayer though.
Yeah.
He's free.
I mean, since no one has like volunteered, Slayer looks over his shoulder and he just sort of stays there for a moment. He doesn't really know how to broach this. He just sort of waits there for you to essentially look at him.
Slayer, I need help with English translation.
He immediately runs over.
Great.
And Kirith, he performs a small sign, very simple sign with his hands, and he grabs the piece of paper you have, and in the corner with some charcoal that he grabs from nearby, he just scribbles essentially the word hello, and he turns it over to you, and he does the sign again.
Wait, to me?
Yes. He just does the sign again with his hands, and then he turns the paper towards you and points at it. He's essentially teaching you how to say hello in his language.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm gonna fucking kid.
Shalom, I just write back.
And
Did you say shalom?
Yeah.
Shalom.
Happy Hanukkah from hell.
Oh my god.
Gehenna is a real thing in D&D, so technically it is the Jewish hell, so technically.
I'm just thinking about all these tieflings with these, you know, the caps
kippah,
that they wear
yeah.
in church.
The kippah.
Yeah, when they're in church, it's just.
We go to the 9 hells and everyone's like, Shalom and a happy Hanukkah.
Oh, Yom Kippur.
I don't think we should go where this perpetrates. Like,
Listen. There's only one thing I want to do eventually with my Judaism, which is to have a werewolf and say he's preparing for his bark mitzvah and he's fasting for Yom Kippur. That's it. That's all I want. Kirith, he essentially writes, he just wipes away the hello with charcoal, and he writes down like, what do you want to say? And he turns it over to you.
I want it to be a threatening sign so that people do not mess with this village. So, something like, if you dare to trespass, you have been warned. With, and I show him the side of me all the decapitated heads that I have next to me.
He looks down at the decapitated heads and he doesn't move for a moment. And he begins to draw.
They're so cute though. These little skeleton heads.
Rod, this is the greatest thing you've ever done.
It's so great. Yes. Just says don't.
And he turns it around over to you, and you can sense that he's like, huh? Huh? He's not
Please do
saying
not,
it.
the tiefling.
That's beautiful. I think the only thing I'd change is it says, I think how they say, do not enter, and it's perfect.
And he turns it back around, and it literally says, don't not enter.
Yes.
Good enough.
It's perfect.
And then he takes a couple of extra seconds to...
Why does he have a red marker?
Oh, that's not a marker. That's blood.
Okay.
And he stoops over to one of the corpses, and he just like rubs his thumb on like a wound, and with his thumb he just spreads some blood onto the drawing of Kirith's face, just so that it's red like her, and then he turns it around.
Perfect. I think this is an amazing sign. Thank you for this.
And he runs over to you, Saltbrook, and he looks over to Ethilden, and he signs to her. Does he know the spell Prestidigitation?
She's into Saltbrook. Do you know pregnant what?
No.
And she like turns back to Slayer.
No.
He stops for a moment. Like his hand goes up to his chin, and he's like in a thinking position, and he looks over to Micah, and he waves at him, and Micah comes down from the wall, and staggers over. He's an old man. Takes a little while, and he signs to Micah, and Micah stops. Well, maybe. Give me a moment. And he runs back into the village, and as we wait, he goes over to you, Ethilden, and he signs Micah is going to bring back something for the sign. And then followed by, tell her.
Does he mean to Kirith?
Yes.
Alright, she kind of like smile. She's like, yeah, he has something for your sign, and like goes to pat Thalian's ass. Like a watermelon.
Oh, sick. while I'm waiting, I'm going to grab the decapitated heads and put them on spikes while I wait for the sign. Or the thing to add to the sign.
As the soldiers begin to see you do that, a couple of them come up to you with their spears, and they sort of just hand them to you. And one of them goes, "It ain't the cleanest thing, but if it tells those bastards to stay out of our land, I suppose it's going to work."
And it is perfect. Thank you for the spike.
Nah, thank you, Violent Savior. We appreciate you.
I got that reference.
Violent Savior?
Thank you, Violent Savior.
Oh, I like that new name. I like it. I think I want to be called that all the time.
Ethel.
And so she goes and puts
Oh.
spikes on.
Okay. Micah comes back out with a small scroll, and he hands it over to Slayer. And Slayer takes the scroll, opens it up, and he removes his helmet, and you see his coppery metal flesh underneath. He puts his helmet. Actually, he hands the helmet over to you, Ethel. And do you take it?
Yeah.
As you put your hand on it, he stops for a second and he looks at you, essentially like, "Can I trust you with this?"
Just kind of like gives like a, you know how you like nod with your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He lets go of the helmet. He opens up the scroll, and he takes a deep breath in, almost as if he's about to speak. And he lets out a breath. And Ethel, you see the light in his eye sockets become dimmer, and out of his mouth you see almost an extension of that aura of his eyes hit the page, and then it recedes back in, and the page lights up with this blue light, and this yellowish golden aura from the page begins to flow down, almost like a heavy smoke, viscous, almost like a liquid. And as it hits the page on the ground with the drawing, you see that the page begins to multiply from 1 to 2, from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8 to 16 to 32, and there's a stack of paper underneath. And once he's done, the yellowish light of the scroll dissipates, and the scroll burns up in a flame, and it disappears. And he stoops over and grabs the papers, and he like turns them over to their side, begins fingering through them just to see if they're all right, and he pulls out one of them where Kirith is actually blue, and he like crumples it and throws it over his shoulder, and he rolls the papers up, put them under his armpit, and he extends his hands back to you, Ethel, to grab the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it back.
He puts on the helmet, and as he does, you can see that his shoulders relax a bit. There's a sense of a bittle, yeah, I just realized. There's a sense of there's a tension that goes away once he puts on his helmet. And he nods over to you and runs over to you, Kirith. And he hands you this stack of 32 pieces of paper, all of them with the same drawing that he made. Or actually 31. He crumpled one of them.
Wait, so he just made me like 30 versions of the
Made
sign?
you 30
Like
versions?
different.
30 virgin.
He gave you 30 copies, essentially.
Wow. That is very nice. I grab the stack and I put my hand on his shoulder. I say, "You've done so much for these people, and you are a very caring and giving person. I appreciate what you do." And I proceed to put these posters literally everywhere, from the 15-mile mark to 10-mile mark to 5-mile mark. But I put the spike specifically right in the middle of that distance.
I see. Okay, that'll take a while for you to do. In the meantime, Ethel, Saltbrook, Gimnir, anything that you would like to be doing right now?
How's all the people that Gimni rounded up? Are we taking them to the jails in the town, or?
As you round them up, Gimnir, you begin to notice that their equipment is fairly outdated. These are rusty swords, some of them very dull. Their armors look nice, but under closer inspection, they're very brittle. These are not your best soldiers. And underneath their helmets, there are looks of exhaustion, there are looks of regret in their faces. And none of them are resisting anything. They're just allowing themselves to be moved here and there, almost as if they are product.
Like cat.
Sent you men to die.
The sergeant's dead. You can't tell him nothing. I guess I'll assist with the roundup. I don't really need to read anything else at this point.
Okay.
I mentally communicate with my homeboy.
What do you say to him?
Okay, really quick. I'm not trying to be an ass. Can you turn down your volume just a little bit, Taylor? It's like echoing, like, and it's
Yes, I would also
Oh,
ask
I'm
that.
so sorry.
It's all good.
I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
like when the music swells. I'm like, what?
I thought I was the only one hearing that. What do you want to say to Thalion?
I'll just start with like, you did well.
You don't see any response, Ethel.
I kind of like walk up to his shoulder, like under his wing, and be like, hey.
Roll a dex save for me.
Whoa.
What'd the dog do?
What the dog doing?
Sorry, they're acting crazy today. My bad.
It's all good.
What'd the dog do?
23.
Ethel, as you approach from behind Thalion, trying to speak to him, you feel almost a twinge in your mental connection. You know when you feel like a twinge of pain in a muscle?
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what you feel, but in your mind. And you instinctively pull back as, faster than you could normally react, you just see Thalion's jaws just snap at you. And he stops, and you see his pupils are all contracted, and he shakes, almost in a very animalistic way. And then he turns around and continues eating.
Interesting. Like, I can't hear him communicating back at all.
No.
I have to assert my dominance somehow. How that is, I do not know.
Okay.
I'm thinking, God. I punched the dragon. I don't know. No, I do not do that. He's my baby boy. I like say his name like very softly and like approach him again.
Okay. Ethel, as you begin to approach, he turns around and faces you directly. And that same animosity that you just felt stays there. It's essentially he's guarding his meal from you. His pupils contracted, his entire body tensed up. Roll an animal handling for me with advantage.
Okay. My highest was 11.
Tell me how you approach him.
She kind of like straightens up, like pulls her shoulders back, kind of like that very like fixing yourself and making yourself look big, and just approaches him and like looks down at him where his head is kind of like lowered in his little stance. And she kind of walks right up into like his space, right? Like he could so easily just like snap at her again with his jaws, but she just stands there.
As you approach, he moves his head towards you, almost as if he's about to bite you, and he stops there, a few, maybe 2 inches away from you. And he maintains this constant eye contact with you. You just feel this warm breath just push your hair backwards. What do you do?
I kind of just like reach out with my hand and like try to touch like gently at first like one of like his like the frills or like the horns that run along his bottom jaw, and just like look him in the eyes.
And as you make contact, Ethel, you feel that his body temperature is much higher than normal. You see in between his scales the same glow that you see on your bow. This heat glow from underneath his scales. And as you touch the spines, his body temperature begins to lower and lower and lower. And as that happens, you see his spines on the back of his head, his spines on the side of his face, which are not normal in other drakes. You see them relax, and his pupils dilate slightly, and he lets out this breath that just seems to melt the snow around you. You just hear him go, and his body begins to relax.
I kind of like I
Man,
place
dog,
my
I'll
other
shoot
hand
himself.
like what?
That man doggone shoot himself.
What's up, Em?
Yes, my dragon shit itself. She like places like her other hand on top of his jaw and kind of like kneels in the snow and try to like take her with him, or take him with her, I should say, like down into the snow to like cool him off more.
You do. And as you begin to bring him down to the ground, he literally just falls asleep right there. There's a sense of exhaustion, a sense of, it's almost the crash after the adrenaline. And he just falls asleep completely. You see the steam rising from where his body touches the snow. And he is completely asleep. Fully and completely.
I let him sleep, but I just like I pet his head and I just say like, that's my boy.
All right.
That's my baby.
Ymnir,
He's like a
Saltbrook,
baby.
as you continue to round up the remaining soldiers, you make it to the jail in the middle of town. And as you're making your way there, you see people trying to climb onto the side of the buildings, trying to put out the fires, and they manage to. There has been some damage, and around the town, you begin to see that there are citizens that have been injured. You see people bleeding, some people with splints for their arms, and you see the owner of the tavern running around, sort of doing his best to keep everyone safe. But there's an air of happiness. There's an air of relief in the town, as much as there have been a couple of casualties. There is a relief of this could have been a lot worse. And
Near
as you
over the tavern owner.
as you pass by the entrance, you notice that in the corner next to the building, where that person had been impaled by a ballista bolt, you see a woman and a child softly weeping next to their corpse. The woman holds onto this man's body, and the child just sits there, their arms hanging uselessly at their sides. No tears flowing down the kid's face, but the woman wails, and it just pierces the walls of this settlement.
I am going to walk over there.
Okay.
Gimnir basically just goes, let Salt handle that. Real quick, he's gonna call over the tavern owner.
Yes. Let the morally bankrupted warlock deal with the emotionally damaged woman. Good idea. Give me your 10 out of 10.
He has 8 intelligence. Don't blame him.
That translates to emotional intelligence.
Gimnir's
May
head
I
is
assist you?
Gimnir's head is just like, huh. Yeah, Saltbrook is an emotionally stable man. I'll let him deal with that. Kirith, you are still performing the task of putting down the signs.
The spikes.
Yeah, this is
After I do the spikes, may I assist with our dead and just helping with the burials?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Saltbrook.
Yeah.
As you approach, there is a familiarity to her screams. It's a comfort to know that someone else can feel this. But it is a grim reminder of what you yourself have been through. You see yourself in this woman. And in the worst way, you also see yourself in this child. What would you like to do?
Who was he to you?
The woman continues to cry, but the child turns over to you, and he just speaks. He was my father.
I'm sorry to hear that. I have a regret that I could not have done more to preserve more, but the costs are what they must be. I apologize for my lack of ability to save this man. I will pull out that 350 gold doubloons that I had earned previous from looting that sergeant of my own money, and I will give it to the small child.
He, as he grabs onto this small bag, he looks over at you, and you see him scanning essentially your clothes, and he says, "You wear the same colors as them."
That is true, but I am not one of them. I learned that following a large collective of people is not the best route for a small man. But I fought against them all the same. That money I've given you, let it be your father's legacy to your family. I know it will not heal the pain of a broken heart and soothe the sadness in your hearts, but it is something. Something that you may be able to hold on to for a time.
The woman's cries have become softer, more subdued, and the kid is still just standing there. He doesn't really have... Inaction is the best explanation I can give. As you begin to leave Solbrook, you feel a tug on your coat, and as you turn around, you see the boy, and he looks up at you, and from he has a small little satchel on the side, and from inside the satchel, he gives you a small plant, an herb. It's white like the snow around you. And as he gives it to you, he says, "I don't think you're small, mister." And he turns around and tries to comfort his mother.
I will accept the funny little plant, and I shall continue on my path.
Put inspiration on your page, please.
I bet.
You saw Brooke at it.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Kirith.
It's called having faith in your team. Also,
I'm not an idiot.
the-
I just believe in you.
so I'm sorry. I've just been wanting to do this one small thing, and it just keeps getting skipped.
Go for it.
I just want Gimir to call over the tavern owner real quick.
Yep.
He's going to give 2 of his health potions, the potions of greater healing, to the tavern keep, and just... You can have these, and I can offer what assistance I can. I need a bit more rest before I can heal a greater quantity of people, but I will do what I can for you.
As he grabs onto the 2 bottles, you see his eyes just brighten. And he says, "Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oi, bring him over here." And as he says that, you see children, almost 16, maybe 17 years old, just bringing the body of an injured bowman. And they just bring him towards him, and he begins to give the man the potion. And it seems to have an effect. They begin to recover from their condition. Kirith, as you begin to return, having successfully planted all of the don't not enter signs, you realize that most of the cleanup outside of the wall of enemy bodies has happened. It's been, I want to say, 20 to 30 minutes to go 5 miles. Things have progressed. And as things begin to die down, and the fires are put out, and the battering ram is disassembled, and the siege tower is broken down into its pieces, you see that the spirits of the people around you seem to be lifting. And they begin to make their way to the tavern. And Kirith, you notice that essentially waiting for you outside of the gates, you see Slayer. And he stands there with Saint Celestine. Ethel, do you make your way?
Walk up. Oh, sorry.
What?
Just real quick, Ethel, do you make your way into the town towards the tavern as well?
Not if my baby is outside sleeping and injured.
Okay, you can stay if you want. Kirith, go for it.
I walk up to both of them. Do you need any more assistance from me?
Celestine looks over at Slayer, and he looks back at her, and he just nods. And Celestine speaks to you, Kirith, and she says, I'm not gonna lie, it would be good to have the assistance of a Tyrannosaurus riding she-devil. However, as I do understand you and your elf friend over there have matters to attend to, correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Well, I don't know the way to the Father Forge. However, Mr. Slayer here does. And he just looks over at her, and she just kind of like whispers. She's like, it's all right. I can handle things over here. Besides, Miss She-Devil over here's put up the terrifying warnings that we need to keep this town safe until you return. Why don't you go? And he looks over at you, Kirith. There's almost an air of expectancy. He doesn't really know what to do.
We do not know what we will run into at the Father Forge, which could be, maybe good things, or maybe very, very, very bad, we die things. So I think the more help, the merrier. And she puts her hand on his shoulder.
As you do, Kirith, Slayer just very slowly just looks over at your arm, and you see him take a deep breath, and he just grabs a hold of your arm, and with the other hand, he just gives you a thumbs up.
Great. Okay, but I do have one thing, and she'll just say this as she passes him.
Mm-hmm.
She says, but on the road trip, don't fall in love with me, because I'm going to break your heart, so don't do that.
As you pass by, you just see Slayer standing there, and Saint Celestine begins to cackle.
That reminds me, Celestine owes me a kiss for getting through that goddamn wall.
Wait, did you?
How dare you? How dare you forget about that, Rock?
I completely forgot.
I know.
Oh my god,
I
please
just
just walk up
remembered.
to her right now.
Go for it.
I'm not walking up to her.
You pussy.
She begins to
So-
cackle, and she looks over at Slayer and says, well, Mr. Slayer, I would say she has you down to a goddamn T. Trying to be all mysterious with your mask on. She sees right through that. And if a helmet could blush, he would be doing that right now. And he just gives like a slight push to Celestine, almost like a shut up.
I fucking.
Kirith is just gonna say under her breath, they always fall so hard. It's like breaking their heart.
These poor unfortunate souls. They can't resist the otherworldly riz that is Kirith.
The cute is.
The Kiriz.
Oh no.
Therizati.
Oh, it works for the full name.
Oh my god, I hate it. Alright, Saltbrook.
About that beer I owed you.
She stops laughing for a moment, and she looks over at you, and she points her halberd at you. And she says, alright, mister, I'm all dark and no one understands me. Come over here.
Why?
Not the Riz. Not the Riz.
Why? What a silly question, boy. And she flexes her foot on the ground for a moment, and in a blink of an eye, Saltbrook, she's on you. She just pushes you towards the wall, and she does like the like the anime thing where the guy just puts the hand on the wall.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh,
She like
no,
corners
oh, god,
you
oh, no,
against
oh, god,
the
no.
wall, and she just looks at you, and she says, I made you a promise, and living saints don't break promises. And
God damn!
she pulls down her mask, Saltbrook, and you can't help but follow the lines of her face. There is this darkness, these dark circles under her eyes, as if she hasn't slept in a very long time, properly at least.
Mood kindred.
And you see yourself reflected in that, Saltbrook. There is a weight that she carries that is unspoken, very similar to yours. You don't know its nature, but it's there. And she runs her hand down the sides of your face, and you can tell that she's examining your beard and the color of it. And her eyes meet yours, and she speaks. The lines upon your face and the color of your beard and your hair, they do not speak of the age you have, but the age you've suffered. And she slowly leans in for a kiss, and under her breath she speaks. It might have been a promise from me, but you're the one that has to accept it.
Fine.
She kisses you, Saltbrook. And there is a warmth to her kiss that you haven't felt since the day you became a paladin. It's a very specific warmth. It's, simply put, divinity in a kiss. It's a breath into your lungs. It's a warmth into your cheeks. It's the hairs on the back of your neck rising up. There's an electricity, a static to this. And as the kiss ends, you let out a breath, Saltbrook. And for the first time since you've gotten to the high ice, your breath condenses in the air. And you haven't felt this warm in years.
Yay, I feel a little happy.
The severe depression wanes a bit.
I was about to say, like, friendship ended with depression. Giant woman who kissed me is now my best friend.
Oh boy, it's smooching time. Meanwhile, Ithel is alone with her fucking angry, horny dragon.
You see Slayer sort of like, wave to you, Ethel. And he comes
He gives
over.
him like a little like.
Yep.
Oh, he comes over.
Yeah, he comes over. And he signs to you, the tavern will be much warmer than here. Are you waiting for him to come with?
She just kind of nods and says, you know, actually, no, I don't know. My brain is so broken right now. And she says, yes, I won't leave him until he can come inside the city.
He gives you a thumbs up, and he walks to the side of Thalion, and I need to know if you'll actually succeed this. Wow, that's a nat 20. He essentially just goes into a deep squat, and he puts both of his hands underneath Thalion, onto the center of his body, and he simply just lifts Thalion. And
Ithel's jaw is just on the snow, like.
Yeah, so he just grabs a hold of Thalion and begins to carry, begins to carry him inside. And he turns around, and as he turns around, he, with one hand, he half signs, "Are you coming?"
She just kind of smiles and almost like laughs to herself, and that like loneliness dissipates. And she follows after him. And she like, you couldn't have done that while Kirith was watching.
He turns around and he turns around to you and he signs well, hold on, I gotta think. Because this is very Slayer and I want to get it right. Okay. He signs back to you, Ethel. Strength of body must not defeat strength of heart. And he turns around and continues walking.
She's like walking behind him in the shadow with a fucking dragon he's holding over his head. And she's like, yeah, sure, but physical strength always helps with things.
He looks over at you and smiles. I think we are thinking of different things. Do you all make your way to the tavern together?
Gimnir is staying with any wounded. There's a lot. I'm fully fine taking another level of exhaustion for him staying up all night healing people.
Put inspiration on your page.
So we're gonna have Kira assist by basically just connecting her mind link to the injured and knowing who needs what at when.
Perfect. Jesus Christ. That is fantastic use. Put inspiration on Kira's page too. Tess can thank you later. All right. You all make it inside Gimnir throughout the night as most of the triage is done. You are able to go to the tavern alongside Kira and most of the wounded. They're all recovering. There's not much you have to do right now. Inside, the tavern is lively. I can't even begin to pretend. These are people who thought that just a few hours ago they would die and their village be completely destroyed. And here they are, alive and drinking ale together. The band is going nuts. And the barkeeper, he's just giving all of you free drinks as much as you want. And within the tavern, you just hear the citizens. To the Wyndburgh Wardens! To the saviors of high ice! And everyone's like, huzzah!
Huzzah.
Okay, so just to clarify, Gimnir and Kira are here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Important question. Are there horses in the
You may ask around if you'd like.
No, it was just for the joke.
I see. While drinking, you notice that, well, here's my question, right? How are we doing these seating arrangements right now? So I have a feeling, Saltbrook, that you and Celestine are gonna sit next to each other.
They have their own little group.
Ooh, they're gonna kiss.
Frankly, a little late for that one, Gimnir. Frankly, I'm gonna sit down wherever I feel like sitting down.
Turns out it just happens to be next to Celestine.
In her lap.
Nuh-uh.
Hey, yeah.
The DM did laugh.
That is true.
It's
But
not a
the player does not say yes.
That's
to
very
it.
fair. Yeah.
Sure. Just for the sake of
The bit.
adding a bit of spicy drama, I will sit next to Celestine on this one.
Okay, good.
Obviously, Gimnir and Kira are sitting next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Kirith.
Kirith wants to arm wrestle people when she gets enough drinks in her system.
Okay. Go for it.
Gibnir will volunteer, but
Oh.
I have a funny RP idea. Just real quick.
Okay.
So
Go for it.
Gibnir turns down his first drink. No, thank you. I've got this. He opens up his bag of holding, reaches in,
Yep.
pulls out a glass of, unfortunately now spoiled milk.
Womp womp.
As you pull out the milk, you just feel that smell of curdled. And it just hits your nostrils in a way that just causes both of your ears to just face backwards immediately. And your tail gets all fluffy.
Razzled.
Yeah.
Razzled, dazzled.
Remind, I'll take that drink, please.
They bring over to you. Hold on. I have a specific thing, because unbeknownst to most of you, I have been preparing a literal culinary guide to Faerun. So every region has their own specific drinks and food. The high ice. They bring you a small tray with 2 drinks. One of them is a frostbite punch, and the other is a glacier spirit whiskey. Which one would you like?
Glacier Spirit Whiskey.
You'll try glacier spirit whiskey?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a con save, please.
That's a 17.
Okay. Gimnir, as you take a glug.
Hold on, I have disadvantage on ability checks. I have to do that again.
Oh,
that's not.
very true.
Oh, no, wait, it's only level 3 that gives disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Only at level 2. Okay, so I'm good. 17.
Okay. As you take a glug of it, it just chills out the entirety of your body, and you just feel this immediate warmth form in your belly. And as you breathe out after it, a small, tiny little frost wraith is created in the air and then dissipates.
Oh, Gimnir is entertained. He wants another one.
Gimnir, across from you, you see Kirith with her sleeve rolled up and her red biceps just sitting there in all of its glory, just waiting for you.
Oh, hell yeah.
I need athletics checks from both of you.
Okie dokie.
And you can talk as much trash to each other as you'd like.
No, I go easy on the boy. I don't mean to go too hard.
19.
18?
That is an unnatural
19.
20.
Ooh. Gimnir.
Close miss.
Says, don't worry, I'll go easy on you this time.
As the two of you clasp hands, you can hear the men around the table, and some women too, going, go, 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 go. And you see in between them, you see Slayer just like collecting gold pieces from here and from there, just getting bets ready. And Gimnir, you clasp onto her hand and you push. And in the beginning, you feel like she slips for a moment, and your eyes are so focused on your hand that you don't notice that she's been staring at you the whole time. When your eyes look up, you see she has this shit-eating grin on her face, and she throws up her eyebrows a little bit, and you just see her muscles flex, and in one swift motion, she just whoop-bam, just forces your hand onto the table, and everybody lets out a cheer. Oh! And Slayer begins to like dole out gold coins for the people that bet on Kirith.
It's okay. okay, tough guy. You'll get me next time. And she grabs her shots of fireball.
Shots of fireball.
Yeah, it is fitting. No, it got the cinnamon little spice. I did the you know the guy in the meme that does like the salt trick.
Oh.
Salt Bay?
Kirith, remind me which layer of hell is Kirith from?
Oh god, I don't remember.
69.
There is a 6th and a
well-
9th.
Because who her dad is, I think it's kind of like she kind of hops where she wants to, but I think I remember her being on level 9 the most, or level 8. I don't recall.
9 or 8, which means, I believe, that would be either Nessus or Kanya.
Sounds familiar.
Which one?
I think the first one.
Okay, so Nessus. Kirith, as you're about to go drink your own drink, you hear the bartender say, "Well, hold on a minute. We can't have our infernal violent savior not drinking someone from her homeland. Durkina, open up the good stuff." And you just see this gnome just run to the back. This gnome has a very long white beard. He runs to the back, and he comes out carrying this big keg with, Kirith, you recognize this keg to be marked with the royal family signet on it. Your family. And on it, it says, Glacier Hard Vodka.
Oh. She laughs heartily because where her family comes from, they drink like they're Vikings, and this brings back the memory of when she would do the essentially exactly what she just did, which was the arm wrestling and vodka competitions with her brothers and her one sister. Actually the sister beat everybody, so she laughs at this nostalgic memory.
And there you go.
I think she will. Actually, can I buy the whole keg?
You can.
I'll do that.
Well, normally I would charge you something like, I don't know, like 35 to 40 gold coins, but since you are a violent savior, might as well take the fall for it. You can take it for
She
free.
gives him a solid handshake.
As you do, you just see this man's hand. You just see his face just wince from the clamping power. Oh, thank you. Much appreciated. Oh, dear gods.
And she brings the keg over to the team, and she says, "Look what I got! I got goodies for everyone." Does anyone want to try it?
Then we can have our second round.
Haha, I'm so down.
Okay, would anyone know what my stupid little tankard is? If I just whip it out?
They would not, no.
Okay. I, like, whip it out and, like, smack it on the table, be like, alright, I'll try it.
Kirith, Gimnir, as all of you begin to drink together, you begin to notice that after a few drinks, Gimnir being sort of the lightweight that he is with alcohol, Gimnir, you start to feel the tingliness very quickly because of the very powerful vodka. Kirith, you can hold your own, but it's starting to get there. Meanwhile, Ethilda is just sitting there with the same smile on her face as she drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks. It's almost unnatural how she's able to just keep her composure.
I don't think Kirith questions it because she's so proud that she can keep up with Kirith, so she's just giving her as much vodka as she can.
I'm making Gimnir roll a history check into their past to see if this is normal behavior for Ithilden. It's a -1 in history, but we're gonna roll it anyways. That'll be a 10.
Ethel, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, is it, normal behavior for Ethilden?
I mean, she's an elf, so it wouldn't be out of the question that she can pull her liquor pretty damn well.
Gimnir, you're not 100% sure because the alcohol is affecting you. You're just impressed.
He's drunkenly squinting.
I can see it.
Okay, so I have a thought that like she just kind of dropped that little sunflower from Slayer and Kirith earlier, like it was still there when they came back after the siege.
Yeah.
She like picks it up, and you know how you can put like a whisker on top of a cat's head and it just kind of sticks there.
Yes.
She just puts it in the floof of Gimnir's head and like boots it on the face.
That's art I would love to see. Just Gimnir with a tiny little sunflower sticking out of his head. It's adorable.
Boop.
I'll have to tell Tess about it.
Very true. Ethel, Kirith, Gimnir, you all see Slayer just come over to the table, and everyone's just sort of like hugging him and shaking hands with him. They're all patting him on the back, and he sits down, and he just takes his helmet off, and he just seems a bit, nervous. Seems a bit anxious.
Ithel kind of notices and like signs, not speaking out loud, just signs to him. Do you expect retaliation soon?
He takes a moment and he signs, it's not retaliation I fear. It's overconfidence.
She just kind of nods.
He continues, when I first came to Faerun, none of the people treated me the way that they do. And he looks over at, the citizens of the High Eyes. He then looks over at you, and all of you, and he signs, you had a companion like me, yes?
She kind of gets like a sad look in her eye, but she's like nods.
What was his name? He signs.
She like thinks for a second if there's a way to sign it, but then she just kind of like softly, not quite whispering, but just like Dragmar, Grimorian Dragmar.
You see his body language shift at that mention of the name.
She kind of like pops her eyebrows up, like, you know this guy?
He signs, do I know him? I was assigned to Faerun with him.
Her face is like the WTF meme. She is what Pikachuing right now, like.
He signs, I was one of the 5 sent to scout out Faerun.
She like very quickly, like almost like stumbling over her words. What do you mean 5?
When Eberron fell, and he looks over at Saltbrook, the peoples of that plain sought refuge here in Faerun. And I was under orders to find a place for my people. After I arrived, I was injured, and I couldn't continue my quest. And the people of the High Ice took me in. I have been protecting them ever since.
She just kind of like nods and takes another big. Okay, wait. So she takes the tankard, grabs someone else's horn or like cup or something, and dumps it into that one.
Before
Chugs
drinking
it.
it.
Yeah. Like just all of it. And she's like,
Gimnir, she does that to yours. You just see her like grab her own tankard, put inside yours, take yours, drink from it, chug it completely, slam it on the table, and then she continues talking to Slayer.
She's kind of like flabbergasted. She's like, oh my god, so I'm gonna need you to basically start at the beginning or something. And she like takes like a big breath and like lets it out.
Slayer looks over at you, Kira, in this case, and he looks back at you, Ithilden, and he signs. She can be in my mind, correct?
Yeah, why?
It would be faster than signing.
She just kind of like reels her head back like, oh, okay. And she kind of like, you know, like nods, like asking Kira to come over.
Do you want to play her? Do you want me to do it, Gimnir?
You can do it for right now.
Okay. Kira comes over, Ithilden, and she asks, what's up?
Could you hypothetically bridge Slayer and I's minds to relay information?
Well, he's a warforged, isn't he?
Yeah?
I couldn't do that to Grim. I can
She's
try.
kinda like, yeah, she kind of like nods and like looks around and looks at Slayer like, eh?
Slayer looks at you and he signs. If she couldn't read him, that's because he didn't want her to.
That's interesting.
Um,
But she, like asks, like, go ahead and try.
okay. She closes her eyes for a moment, and her eyes just pop open as she looks over at Slayer, and Slayer just nods. And Kira takes a moment, and she begins to speak. Her accent changes slightly. It's almost as if Slayer is speaking through her. After the fall of Eberron, our people made their way to the portals that led this way. The Warforged were treated as slaves for a very long time. None of us are old enough to understand just how long we fought. Most of our original foundings or forgings were killed in the war. However, out of all of them, out of the original, one stood above the others. Omni Omega. We call him the Omnissiah. Believing in the Omnissiah is religion in the Warforged community. You either believe or you're a heretic. And if you are a heretic, you have two choices. Death or a pilgrimage to fortify your faith. I was one of the few that didn't believe. And so was Grimorian. However, he had a little bit more privilege than I did. He was a Primarch heir, one of the leader of the Indominus Mechanicus chapters. And he points over to his shoulder, and he essentially points over to his pauldrons, and he says, if you ever met a Primarch, you'll notice that they have very specific pauldrons. Their armor is very specific as well. And Kira, in her mind, she's able to see Hashmal's armor from previous encounters. And Kira nods at this. Grimorian was brought into Faerun as a way to fortify his faith, and a way to prove that he's not a heretic. After some of us came back and told the Mechanicus about how useful the land would be, the Omnissiah brought us through. I haven't heard or seen Grimorian for a very long time, and it breaks my heart to know that he's dead. As for the Father Forge, the Mechanicus doesn't know of its existence. I do, because I was chosen. I was chosen by Sylvan, goddess of creativity and curiosity.
Her eyes like flick over to him like, Sylvan.
Yes. And he says, through Kira, Sylvan was the wife of the god Sylvanus, god of nature. She was the goddess of creativity, curiosity, discovery. And she's the one that created the forges.
Thought it was man that built them.
Man copied it. The Caniths reverse engineered what they found here in Faerun, brought it back to Eberron, created the Black Forge, as well as the other chromatic forges. But the Father Forge, that was Sylvan.
Ithel makes like grabby hands towards Kira's bottle of special vodka. I'm just gonna assume it's within arm's reach and pour another one. She drinks it and like turns to him and she says, if you knew Grim, do you know his sister is here?
He stops for a moment. I know the Mechanicus made it through. Where did you meet her?
Oh, that's a great question. It was
I can show it to
the
you.
High Moors.
It was Longsaddle.
Thank you. Sometimes the names get jumbled.
The Cerberan Hills, essentially. Next to
Yeah, so
Longsaddle.
we ran into her in the Cerberan Hills, or Kidith and I guess we were looking for that trouble. She like tucks her hair behind her ear that Hashmal fucked up.
Yep.
She's like, she seemed just lovely.
Kirith and the others, this is the first moment you notice that Ethel essentially has like a chunk of one of her ears missing, and the injury is recent.
Kirith is just going to stare at the ear for a long moment and turn back to conversation. We will address it at another time.
Ethel, he looks over at your ear and then back to you, and through Kira, he speaks. You bought her.
She gives like one single nod.
And you're still alive.
A bunch of us, I suppose so.
She was probably testing you then.
Seemed like it. Like a cat with a mouse.
Hashmal is a Primarch. She was the Primarch heir of the Iron Vanguard. She became the Primarch of the Dragon Lightning. It's one of the 10 strongest chapters in the Indominus Mechanicus. If she let you all live, there's a reason for it. Whether it's gratitude over the fact that you seem to won her brother back to life, even though she knows that's folly, or at least believes it to be. It's a wonder she let all of you live. But if she's there, and he takes a moment and he stands up and he runs over to a wall that has a map on it, and he begins to look around, and he then runs back and asks you, not even through Kira, he just signs, did you see any more Warforged?
She, like, thinks for a moment. I don't think so. Oh, wait! And she literally, like, stands up and, like, points. And she's like, we were ambushed by, oh god, what were their names? Fucking...
Alden?
Yeah, on our way to Sylvania for the first time. Or second time.
As soon as you speak those words, Slayer just puts his hand out to the side, and the music stops. He puts his finger up to where his mouth would be, and he signs to you very slowly, very methodically. Are you sure their name was Alden?
Am I?
I mean, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Do you sign back?
Yes.
He takes a moment, and he looks around the room. He begins to scan the ceiling. And then he looks over by the windows. And from the ceiling, you hear a small creak. Very good. Almost impossible for these organics to detect us. I'm very surprised that you survived, Slayer. And up on the ceiling, on one of the beams, you see her. Alden Eckhorn. The same Warforged that you saw in Sylvania, squatting on one of the structural beams, just looking down at all of you. So tell me, where is the Father Forge? And we'll end it here.
No. Sorry. It's only been 2 hours.
Damn.
What? Ending D&D on time? This is against the rules.
Wait, that's illegal.
Oh, perfectly timed session.
Yeah. I've been trying to get better at that.
Yeah, it's appreciated.
I am
Guess
so
what?
happy.
I don't appreciate it today.
I'm so
really
happy.
good moments this session.
Ah,
Yeah, this was a really good session.
I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, I need to ask, did the music stopping like work? Did that like
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Thanks, everyone. Fantastic session.
we
Very,
level
very
up?
happy. You know what? I was actually not going to do it, but I am going to do it this time. You do level up, since you did.
Again?
Yes. And be ready to not level up for a while.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm fine with that.
That
Oh
sounds
wow,
like
I got this a
bad
lot.
news.
Got this a lot sooner than I thought I would.
Exactly.
Oh,
So, everyone, I believe, levels up to level 9, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And believe me, you will need it to where we're going. For
What
next
fucker?
for next session, I just want to ask right now so that we know, because I know it can be a bit annoying to try and figure it out once we get there. The world right now is open, and you may go wherever you please, as usual. My question is, after the high ice, with whatever happens here, after the high ice, where would the party like to go?
What do we think on that?
Yes, please do think on that, and use your super secret.
Well, I was gonna say, Taylor, did you accept my friend request, girl? I swear to God, because I sent you the invite to our little player chat.
Yes,
Oh,
the
I
super
did not
secret,
see it. Wait, is it in Discord?
super secret
Okay.
player chat to talk smack about me.
Where would I find this?
Top left, scroll all the way up. You should have like a little.
Oh, I gotta send
marker.
you a new invite, anyways.
There you go. A couple of the different things y'all might do is, Kirith, you currently have everything you need to bring back Ripley. You know where the Father Forge is, which is right here in the Star Mounts, as has been, told. You all do not have everything you need to bring back Grimorian. You still need pieces of Warforged remains that would be enough to replace the parts that he lost. And yeah. Saltbrook, have you mentioned your part of where you think you may find that?
We're gonna find it at my old house.
Okay. So if you would, that's another place you can go from here, which is figuring out how to go to Eberron. How to literally plane shift so you can go to Eberron and go grab those pieces. I'm bringing it up now so that you have time to think, to figure it out, and prepare. Because there's going to be a shift in difficulty from now on. Things are going to get harder. I just want to warn you, because I want you all to succeed.
And just so we are prepared for next time, we didn't rest at all before this.
Nope.
Cool, sick, awesome. Also, I just wanted to preface that this might be my last until after my Ren Fair, because I'm working from June 17th to August 6th, and I'm literally only working Saturdays and Sundays. So of course the one day or one of the one days I'm working is Saturday, of course.
Rough. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Unless we could switch it to Friday, but I don't think everybody would be able to. We'll just deal with it as we go.
Okay. I'm sorry, team.
It's all good, man.
It's okay, it's not your fault. Also, I hope you know you've just now given me access to 3rd level spells.
Oh, I know. I know.
Good.
I know the things I do.
Hey, I already know which 2 I'm taking, by the way.
Okay.
It's not the ones that are already prepared in there.
Oh, I gotta poop. Why do I always have to poop during D&D?
I don't know.
Shit yourself. No.
Kirith,
Kinda, yeah.
Kirith, do let me know how you want to do the whole multi-subclass Ethel do the same. Let's review your Drake Warden stuff for level 9. Gimnir, make sure that that Tess levels up Kira to level 9 because she's still a level 7. And yeah, everyone, thank you so much. We will figure things out as we go ahead. If we are able to switch things over to Friday, if not, we'll figure it out. Okay?
Cool.
Thanks
Thanks for a
everyone.
good session, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Hell yeah.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
Alright.
Two guys.
So
What a good session. Good night, everyone.